Hi guys, this is Wenzes from Below the Radar Above the System, and today I want to talk to you about the difference between intuition and paranoia. This has been a topic from the idea pool, and there's been a lot of new ideas lately in the idea pool, so I really appreciate it, and I hope you all get more involved, and so we can all create topics that are beneficial for most of us. So this came up I think yesterday, and since I have a lot of experience in that area, and I've also been paranoid a lot and also idealized things, and on the other hand I've had like really great intuitions that help me move forward in life, I think this is a great topic to talk about so we can kind of understand where to draw the line and what kind of distinguishes between a healthy intuition that will keep us going forward or a paranoia that has no ground whatsoever. And I think in general, to set like a clear boundary, or say this is paranoid and this is like a great intuition, is just not possible, especially since I don't really see a difference in both of them. I think from a completely introverted intuition point of view, everything you kind of can create a concept with in your head is right in that introverted intuition sphere, because first of all, it's not a judging function. It's not like, what we kind of understand is how perfect that concept is, as in is it round, does it include everything that is needed. For example, let's say you I don't know, you find out that your friend is kind of bashing you behind her back. That's like a typical or that's what you think you've seen. This is like a typical paranoia thing, let's say. So what kind of information you have? You have the information that every day she talks to you, and you always have a great relationship, and you know how she is, you've known her for a while, and then you understand that at one day she just starts completely ignoring you and being kind of mean, and then you kind of see that she's talking to somebody else, and then you have like little hints in there and here and so on. And so from all that information that you have, you form a concept or an idea about what is really happening and how this thing is going to evolve. This is something we INFJs always do. This is just how our brain works. This is how we approach life. This is how we see reality. And these kind of scenarios can go in three different directions. On the one hand, you can just really idealize somebody and completely think they're great and everything's perfect, not just them, but just the concept you have. You imagine the best possible outcome, or you just imagine all the worst possible outcome. And you can also have like a kind of realistic understanding of what's the most likely to happen and whatnot. So these things are possible, but all of them are, your intuition playing, the part. Your intuition is doing all the work. And what I have found is the most important part here is to understand what kind of ideas you're going to accept and what ideas you're not going to accept, because your mind can go everywhere. I'll give you an example. I had this thought of me not being very lovable, or very like somebody couldn't take care of me, or I was not worth taking care of. This is just something that was ingrained in me, which led to me seeing my entire world and everybody around me as more perfect than me, more lovable than me, more worthy of being taken care of and so on than myself. And this is something you can actually really see in yourself if you have it. It doesn't feel like this, you can't really talk about it that easily, but you can tell if you feel that you want to take care of others in that way, that they're so nice and so like such angels and so on, and you want to do that. This is a concept I had in my head that I had accepted because back in the day when I was a child and I couldn't really protect myself or make that many decisions, it was an important concept for me to ingrained in my head because it was too painful for me to realize then that some of my caretakers were not taking care of me the way I needed it, and fulfilled my needs the way I needed it. So what I did was to ingrain in myself that I idealized some kind of people because that was the only way for me to cope with reality. So, but now we're all adults, and we have a lot of possibilities to correct those mindsets and those beliefs, and it's a question of what you want to do and how you want to do it. And there's certain concepts that you just have to with complete cold logic tell yourself, am I going to accept that or not? For example, if you meet somebody and they give you the feeling that you don't deserve attention, or you don't deserve basic human, dignity and so on, when you're the one giving that to them, then this is a concept you have to set a boundary at. This is something you will not accept in your worldview, period. Because I know that we never like to set those boundaries because there's so much information we can take in. So if you meet one person and you absorb their world, how they're working, how they approach life, this is very important because through that we gain so much knowledge. We absorb other people's mindsets and beliefs and so on, take out of that what we need, and then kind of through that develop ourselves. And there are a lot of things we can get from others that are really just beautiful. If you have people who are very expressive and so on, and so you open yourself up completely to absorb all their energy, but with that comes something negative, then it's on you to decide, am I going to allow that negative part in myself or not? And with paranoia, it's not much different. It's the exact same thing. Your mind can go anywhere at once. You have to be aware of that. I wouldn't say there's a distinction. This is paranoid and this is just ripe intuition, because you can go very deep into things, and sometimes being very suspicious or very precise in some areas can really get you completely ahead in life and really give you an outcome that you like. But what we have to always make sure that we continuously build up logics that allow us to take in information, or to say, no, I'm not going that further. So for example, one of the first things I set as a boundary to myself is to completely logically say, I'm as worth as everybody else. I'm not more special than anybody else, and nobody's more special than me, period. On that way, of course, I don't allow in energies that give me this feeling of, I'm just godlike, and I'm just the savior of everything. I cut myself off from that, but I also cut myself off from being able for people to give me the feeling that I'm worth nothing. Because if you allow those things in you, you allow your self-worth to be defined by somebody else's opinion. And you can kind of do it, the most dangerous thing, or the most risk-taking thing, is to give that power to one person. Because that one person can give you, the world and the moon, and they can also take it away. This is the most risky part, and this is the most sacred part. This is when you go into intimate relationships. This is when you go with your deepest friends and so on. And there are just certain parts, even in here, where we have to set boundaries, where we say, okay, this is a logic. I know I'm not better than anybody else. So if somebody is around me giving me the impression that I'm just the most beautiful soul on the entire planet, I'm not accepting that thought. Because me accepting that thought also means that I would also be open for that person, if I don't give them what they want, to think that I'm horrible. And I also would absorb those feelings, and that would just leave me miserable. And this is not just about how that other person makes you feel as a person, but also where you go in life, what you want to do. I had, for example, this concept that if I did what's best for me, I would just past so many people, because I'm a very fast thinker and I'm very progressive in a lot of ways, that once I do that, people are not gonna like me because they're gonna be aware of that they're not following their dreams. And this was also something I had to change by complete cold logic, understanding that if I don't do my best, I cannot inspire people to do their best. And if you kind of allow people and enable them to do things that are not like good for them, or that are good for you or your worldview, then you're just enabling them, you're not really helping them. And this is how you leave yourself open to things like paranoia, to idealization, things that are not grounded. And I think it's a very positive trait that we can be open to those things, that we can be open to paranoia, that we can be open to idealization, because those things allow us to view life, world, people from different angles and to see all kinds of possibilities. So in general, to have that option or to come from that is just a huge blessing. But we have to make sure that we set those boundaries in what kind of direction we think and what kind of concepts we accept and whatnot, so we don't lose ourselves first and foremost. Because if you lose yourself, people find you annoying, they just think you're clingy and so on. So then it's a vicious circle, and they start attacking you and start wanting you to leave and so on, which is just a general thing, because you're just absorbing all your attention on them and on their energy, and you feel like, oh, they don't even know this, why does it bother them? But it does bother them. You have to understand that you're not almighty. It's not your responsibility to save those people closest to you. But there are certain needs we have. We just need to find ways to get all those needs met without having to sacrifice things that are important to us. So as I said, you have those closest people to you. That is the most risky part, because then you give so much power to one person or to two people, just, a small group of people. The other thing is to kind of have, give that power away in a way for a larger group, which is your kind of task in life, or your life path and so on, and the way you approach life and people in general, who you talk to and how you do things. So if you, for example, when you put all your attention on that one person or that other person, and you get really paranoid sometimes because the risk is so high, the risk of losing that concept of what you think is really, really high. So things like, paranoia, idealization in both directions get really high. And let's say you're always living like that mainly. This is where you focus all your attention to. You sacrifice a lot of what you really want in order to get those things within your small circle. Then if you look at yourself from a broader perspective, people are not really benefiting from you being in the world on a larger scale. Those people, and I was like this as well, are much more reclusive, are cutting people off all the time, do not have a lot of friends, and just kind of keep to themselves. And at some point, sometimes they explode or I exploded, but there's not a general upbeat or beneficial or giving nature to that an extent as I am now. So once I understood, okay, this paranoia thing can just really get me, mess me up and not really give me where I want to be in the long run. Remember, I don't know if you watched the last, one of the last videos was about impulse control. That we don't want, that it's more important what we want to achieve in the long run, what we want to achieve in life, and not that we get that satisfaction just right now. And with this kind of thing, it's the same way. You have to understand that paranoia, all this kind of things, they're possible, and the only way you're gonna keep yourself from this is not allowing your mind to go in certain directions. but you want your mind to go in certain directions, right? You just, if you, for example, are somebody who wants to save other people, and you used to attract people in your closest circle which were physically, like psychologically damaged, and you felt like it was your responsibility to save them, and if you do not save them, then your life doesn't mean anything. That's how it was with me. With other people and also with other INFJs, it's a way of expressing yourself. So you surround yourself with people that are allowing or want you to express yourself and who you really are, and so on. People who just kind of need that, and you want to have that self-expression towards that one person or towards that small group. And this gets when it gets really tricky, because it's a lot of pressure on yourself and on others. And the next best thing, or not even the next best thing, but what is a good actually the right way to go about this is to understand that it's not about that one person, it's not about that one friend. The person that you will spend the rest of your life with is yourself, and that there are certain things that you have as a task in your life that you feel, this is who I am and this is what I need to do here, and that you find a way to do this no matter if who's around you at that moment. So creating like a task, a hobby, your job, just the way you approach life in general, that fulfills all those things. So what I started doing is I started having much more friends. I started giving more of myself and my positive nature to a lot more friends, because I wanted to give, I wanted to contribute, and I was making sure that there are much more people I can really affect, and I don't need to do it on such deep level. I made it a little broader. I think this has also to do with if you become more extrovert or more balanced, you incorporate that FE and SE. First off, you want to spread more FE, but on the same page, I think you also become a little bit more NE, and NE is much broader. So you kind of give of yourself, not just so deep into some people, certain people, but you also spread it. And once you have that, then there's a bigger balance within you, and there's more stability. Because if I have one person tell me, oh, you're so great, and another, and that person is the only one I'm listening to, and that person is pissed off at me and gets mean, then I'm just completely, just on the verge of, a psychotic breakdown, in the worst cases. And it's not always the best thing to go that deep into people, because we're kind of sometimes we tend to think, to get too much into other people's heads when they don't want that. We are being their friend when they don't even want us to be their friend. They treat us bad, showing us, we don't want you so close to me, we don't want your help, this is too much for me, and we still feel like I have to help that person, I have to dig deep into their mind, understand what they're thinking. This is where the paranoia thing really gets tricky, because you concentrate on all those small little things, and it's one of those code logic things for us to accept that we don't have the right, and we don't have the responsibility, and we are not superhuman that we can go that deep into a person, although that person doesn't want to, trying to help them in the long run. Because first off, they're gonna hurt us in the meanwhile, because apparently they don't want our help, and second of all, because we're not even able to do that, and we're not, you're not that high above everybody that you can just save that other person and that will give your life meaning. If you do it on a broader spectrum, and you really find people who are looking for your help, who are looking for you to kind of help them with what you can give. And those people exist, they exist everywhere, and the more you put that energy out, the more those people will be attracted to you. I've seen such a huge change in my life by switching from going that really deep into one or two people with whom I had very intense relationships. It doesn't have to be like, as I said, just an intimate partner in that sense, also with my best friends, and my parents, and so on. It's not your task to save that one person, or to give that whatever kind of way you want to give to that one person, just because sometimes it goes just too deep and you go too much into their space, but rather put it more into your world. For example, I wanted freedom. I wanted to give. I wanted to be open. So I also, and I think I'm a very accepting person. This is who I wanted to be. I want other people to accept me, and also want to be accepting. So I finally started accepting people around me who actually like me. Like, I've talked about it before, that sometimes we tend to not care or think about those people who already like us. We care about that one person at the mall who doesn't like us, and why do they not like us, and so on. And to just kind of really appreciate what we have and build up on that. And the more you do that, the more you have like a ground work, and the more of your needs are being fulfilled on a larger scale that you can control. You control that your life by looking for people who can give you this, because you have to understand, we as humans, it's not like I don't know, since every one of us has different needs, it's not that you just go through life and you get those needs fulfilled. And it's not also this way that you say, well, I don't deserve to have my needs fulfilled. You have to go out and get those needs fulfilled. Understand, yes, you have needs. You're not superhuman. If you need people to think that you're strong, then find a way where people will give you that. If you want people to think that you're beautiful, go out and do that. So this is why I don't have such a problem with people like, I don't know, Kim Kardashian or Amber Rose, or all those people who do like selfies all the time. It's nothing I would do, because this is not a need of mine. I don't understand what's going on in their head, but apparently they have this need for people to give them that they're beautiful and special, and it's not for me to decide or judge why they do that, but apparently they do, otherwise they wouldn't have the energy to put so much into this. For example, for me, apparently it's a big energy or a big thing that I want people to think that I'm knowledgeable, or that I can help them help themselves. This is something that was always important to me, that is a need of mine. So I combine with helping people also some way where people can give me that feeling that I know, okay, with what I'm doing, I'm actually bringing a benefit to others. But this is a choice I made. And once you have those ground rules in your head, and you say, okay, I'm not going to allow my head to go too deep into this. I'm not going to let one person decide this about me. That person is not going to be the decider of if I'm a good person or not. In general, has so much to do with boundaries. If you just said, okay, I'm not doing this, then you can kind of also avoid those paranoia things. So if you're like me, who's been in a lot of paranoid situations before, also with idealizing things and just creating a world, so on, the most important thing you have to do is understand that you have to work on that part of yourself that will help you get those needs met on a more global sphere. This is the more extroverted part. It's of course easier for us to get it with like the closest people are surround us, because we're so good at analyzing them. Then we can just act the way they want us to act, and then they give us, and that get our needs fulfilled. But don't get it twisted. You do a lot of things when you help people around you because you need your needs fulfilled. This doesn't make you a bad person, this just makes you human. Okay? And if you really want that one person to get all your needs met, then those paranoia things really rise up. The more you're able to get it on a more global scale, the more you take control over getting those needs fulfilled and going where you want to go and who you want to be, the less you get in those fields. But it doesn't shrink your intuition at all. It just allows your intuition to go into those spheres where it's safe enough, where you can take calculated risk, where you're willing to, go places so you understand what's going on and then use that further on. I'm still thinking a lot about psychology and how people think and so on, but I don't dig deep into that one person and absorb that whole worldview anymore. Because I've said to myself, okay, I'm not defined by one person. I need to have certain things that I just need, first off, as a basis for me, which is to set us all at one level. This is the easiest way and this is the safest way. If you can create a thing where you realize, I don't care how much money somebody makes, I don't care if somebody is spiritual or not, I don't care if somebody's cool or not, I don't care if somebody is religious or not, I don't care if that person is smart enough, that they're just as worthy as I am. This is the great ground thing, and for some people, especially with us, it's easier to say, well, okay, I don't care how much money that person makes, I don't care how good that person looks, I don't care how popular they are. It's easy for us to go into that direction, but we should also not judge people who actually care about materialistic things. We should not judge people who care about, how many likes they get on their selfie, how many, what people decide. Like, they're them and they have their own needs and so on, and they're wired differently. And just in general, I said every person. I try, of course. Nobody's like, it would be just obnoxious for me to think that I'm actually able to really put everybody on one grounded level. And of course there are people I don't like, but the aim is to just from how well do some people deserve to be treated, to just generally have like a ground that is just for everybody, including you. Then you can globally also control what kind of needs you're getting fulfilled. And then those people closest to you, you can really create a world where you want balance. You want to give, but you also want to take. You create a world for yourself where you really don't want to be in a relationship where you're the one giving more. And this is what I definitely did. I was the person who would never get in a relationship if I didn't feel like I'm the one giving more, because then I thought there's no way I could get my needs fulfilled. Now that I have those rules, which is groundwork and globally within my closer circles, I do want equality. I do want that, and I'm also therefore looking for people who also want that equality. When before I was looking for people who wanted to take more than they were giving, due to what kind of things that were going on in their head and so on. So just all together, I think paranoia, intuition, it can be the same thing. It's just like the riskier it gets, the more the paranoia level rises, and it's just a question of where we set that boundary and how far we're willing to go. And I think once that understanding is there, why certain things go too deep into something and cause us paranoia, we can actually really drift in the other direction and find a balance and get everything we want and be who we want. There's enough for everybody. We have everything we need within us, and these things are possible. I've lived it, I've seen it. And I don't believe that you have to be somebody else to get those things met. Just have to be honest with yourself of what you want, who you are, and then find a way to get that in check. And my best friend had this saying that I really like. She said, on the one hand, we're all together, but on a certain level, we're all on our own. Because those deepest needs, those deepest issues, those deepest things within us, nobody can save us but ourselves. This is where we have to set the boundaries, where we have to say we're going that direction, and this should be as important when it comes to you fixing yourself, as well as us being naive enough to think that we can fix those deepest things within somebody else. We can listen to one another, we can pick up ideas, but it's never one-on-one, because every person is different and nobody will ever know you as well as you know yourself. Thank you a lot for watching, and yeah, talk to you soon. Bye.